when gods were seen and curiosity was sacred, when gods walked among men. Across time, cultures have spoken of gods descending from the heavens, not as metaphor, but as physical presence. The Babylonians wrote of deities arriving in blazing chariots of fire. The Sumerians described the Anunnaki as sky beings who shaped civilization. The Book of Enoch recounts the Watchers coming down from the firmament, teaching humanity forbidden knowledge. And the people believed, not symbolically, but literally. These were not distant spiritual abstractions. They were described as visitors, guides, teachers, judges. Today, billions worship a God they have never seen, never heard, never physically encountered. Their faith is accepted, protected, and revered. Yet when ancient cultures describe encounters with luminous beings arriving from the sky, modern interpretation quickly labels them myth, fantasy, or primitive superstition. Why? Is belief only legitimate when it aligns with modern doctrine? The Maya believed their gods would return from the east in floating vessels. When Christopher Columbus and the Spaniards arrived upon their horizon in strange ships, their prophecy appeared fulfilled. They greeted not divinity, but they greeted what they believed to be divine. And yet, their certainty was real. Were the Babylonians, Sumerians, Hebrews, and Egyptians merely confused? Or were they describing phenomena beyond their language and science? The provocative question is not whether they were right. It is whether we are too comfortable assuming they were wrong. The ancient texts we protect today form the backbone of modern belief. Scripture, tablets, scrolls, and mythologies are revered, memorized, and defended. We accept stories of burning bushes speaking, seas parting, angels descending, voices from heaven, and divine intervention as sacred accounts. We are told these narratives require faith, not evidence. Yet, when those same texts speak of beings descending in flying chariots, of gods mating with humans, of celestial visitors altering human history, suddenly the narrative becomes uncomfortable. Why is one supernatural claim protected by reverence, while another is dismissed as irrational? Is it not curious that civilization chooses which impossibilities are permissible? The Sumerian king list records rulers reigning for tens of thousands of years. The Egyptian pyramid texts speak of gods teaching kings the secrets of the stars. The Mahabharata describes aerial vehicles capable of devastating entire armies. The Dogon tribe preserved astronomical knowledge impossible for naked eye observation. Are these foolish fantasies, or fragments of a forgotten chapter of our origin? Perhaps the real discomfort is not that these stories challenge science, but that they challenge authority. Humanity has forgotten something essential, that our ancestors did not simply imagine gods, they saw them, described them, and built entire civilizations around their visits. And across the world, the traces of those encounters still remain. We now stand on a planet where ancient stone structures defy modern engineering explanation, not metaphorically, but literally. Where temples and cities built thousands of years ago display feats of precision and geometry that do not align with the technology of their time. Look at the evidence still standing before us. Göbekli Tepe, 11,000 years old, older than agriculture, older than writing. How does a pre-agricultural society construct aligned monoliths with advanced astronomy? Sacsayhuaman, stones that match each other like 3D puzzle pieces, shaped with curves, angles, and cuts that suggest machining, not primitive tools. Pumapunku, blocks carved with perfectly parallel channels, drill holes, and recesses that look more like factory precision than Stone Age craftsmanship. The Great Pyramid, aligned to true north within a fraction of a degree. Using mathematics, we only rediscovered thousands of years later. Beekeepers by Albeck, home to the Trilithon, stones weighing over 1,000 tons each. Even today, the cranes that could lift such stones do not exist in that region. Nan Madol, a city built on water with basalt columns stacked like engineering modules, transported across miles of ocean without boats large enough to carry them. And yet, modern documentaries approach these sites with an almost comical hesitation. They interview archaeologists who twist themselves into knots trying to explain. They used ropes, they used logs, they used wet sand, but always with the same unspoken admission: we cannot do this today. Not like this. Not with their tools. So why the resistance? Why the mental gymnastics? Why does mainstream science avoid the most obvious question? If humanity put even a fraction of its scientific curiosity into investigating why these structures exist, not just how, we might finally stop circling the mystery and begin approaching the truth. Because history doesn't hide the answers. We just keep looking in the wrong direction. Modern society prides itself on rationality, yet clings fiercely to inherited narrative. If belief teaches that God created the human mind, then surely curiosity itself is sacred. And if curiosity leads us to question, is inquiry truly a sin or the highest form of faith? The danger is not believing too far. The danger is refusing to look at what sits plainly before us. And perhaps the most challenging thought of all is this: what if the true legacy of our ancestors was not worship, but testimony? But perhaps the greatest mystery is not the stones, the monuments, or the impossible engineering. It's us, because we, too, are a species that appeared suddenly, with abilities, fears, and instincts that don't quite fit the natural world around us. We are brilliant, yet self-destructive, curious, yet afraid of our own curiosity. A species powerful enough to shape the planet, and careless enough to damage the one home we have. Maybe the question isn't, who were the gods our ancestors saw? Maybe the question is, what made us stop looking? Today, curiosity has become dangerous again, not because of any church or empire, but because we fear what the answers might reveal about ourselves. Yet, the future belongs to those who dare to ask, to those who look at ancient stones, at ancient stories, and at their own reflection, and whisper the most human question ever spoken. What if the truth is bigger than the one we were taught? Curiosity was sacred once. Maybe it's time we remember why.